Years had passed since Maya first walked into Innovatech as a rejected interviewee, clutching dreams bigger than herself. Now she stood at the pinnacle of success, a position many would have thought impossible for someone like her. Yet here she was, not just surviving but thriving, proving time and again that talent and determination could shatter even the toughest barriers. Her rise to becoming one of the youngest chief technology officers, CTOs, in the company's history wasn't without its hurdles. There were moments when self-doubt crept in, whispering that maybe she didn't belong, times when colleagues questioned her decisions or dismissed her ideas because of where she came from. But Maya never let those voices win. Instead, she used them as fuel to push harder, work smarter, and lead with integrity. As CTO, Maya transformed Innovatech in ways no one saw coming. She championed diversity and inclusion, ensuring that underrepresented voices were heard and valued. Under her leadership, the company implemented policies that supported employees from all walks of life: better wages for custodial staff, mentorship programs for young developers, and training initiatives aimed at closing skill gaps. Her father, who still worked diligently cleaning offices, became a symbol of pride within the organization. Employees often stopped him to thank him for raising such an inspiring daughter. But Maya's impact extended far beyond the walls of Innovatech. Her story spread globally, earning her recognition as a trailblazer in the tech industry. Media outlets hailed her as proof that innovation knows no boundaries, while educators cited her journey as an example of resilience and perseverance. Young people everywhere looked up to her, seeing themselves in her struggles and triumphs. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Maya found herself sitting alone in her office, staring out at the city skyline. The lights twinkled like stars, reminding her of how far she'd come. She thought about her early days, cleaning alongside her father, studying late into the night, and facing rejection after rejection. Those memories weren't bitter. They were reminders of the strength it took to get here. A soft knock on the door pulled her from her thoughts. It was Richard Langston, now older but still sharp as ever. "Got a minute?" he asked, stepping inside. Maya nodded, gesturing for him to sit. "What's on your mind?" Richard smiled faintly. "I just wanted to say something I should have said years ago. You've changed this company not just with your ideas but with your heart. When we rejected you back then, we failed to see what makes you special. And I'm sorry for that." Maya felt a lump form in her throat. For so long she had carried the weight of that rejection, letting it drive her forward. Hearing those words from Richard felt like closure. "Thank you," she said softly. "But honestly, if things had gone differently, I might not be sitting here today. Sometimes the hardest paths lead to the greatest rewards." Richard chuckled, spoken like a true leader. The conversation stayed with Maya long after Richard left. It reminded her of why she kept fighting, not for validation but to create opportunities for others. She knew her journey wasn't just about personal achievement, it was about paving the way for future generations. Months later, Maya received an invitation to speak at a global technology summit. Standing on stage in front of thousands of attendees, she shared her story openly and honestly. "I didn't start out with privilege or connections," she began, her voice steady. "I started out as the janitor's daughter, but my father taught me something invaluable. Hard work pays off and kindness costs nothing." She went on to talk about the importance of believing in yourself, even when others don't. About finding strength in adversity and using it to lift others up. By the time she finished, the audience erupted into applause, many rising to their feet. Backstage, strangers approached her, tears in their eyes, thanking her for giving them hope. Despite her fame, Maya remained grounded. She continued mentoring young developers, encouraging them to dream big and chase their goals relentlessly. She organized workshops for underprivileged youth, teaching them coding skills and showing them that anything was possible. Her father attended one of these events, watching proudly as Maya inspired a room full of wide-eyed kids. "You're changing lives," he told her afterward, his voice thick with emotion. "Not just yours, but theirs too." Maya hugged him tightly, feeling grateful for everything he had done for her. "We're doing this together, Dad," she replied. "Always." Years turned into decades, and Maya's legacy only grew stronger. The products she helped develop revolutionized industries, improving lives worldwide. Her advocacy for inclusivity reshaped corporate culture, inspiring other companies to follow suit. And her story became a beacon of hope for anyone told they weren't good enough. At a gala celebrating Innovatech's 50th anniversary, Richard took the stage to honor Maya publicly. His speech brought tears to everyone's eyes. "When we rejected her initially," he admitted, "we failed to see the potential right in front of us. Maya taught us that greatness isn't defined by titles or backgrounds. It's defined by passion, purpose, and the courage to keep going no matter what." As Maya accepted the award, she scanned the crowd, locking eyes with her father. He gave her a proud nod, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. In that moment, she realized her victory wasn't just hers. It belonged to every person who dared to dream despite the odds. And so, the story of the janitor's daughter became legend, an enduring reminder that sometimes the greatest solutions come from those least expected. Maya's journey proved that no matter where you start, you have the power to rise above obstacles, break barriers, and leave a lasting impact on the world. The lights dimmed, and the crowd cheered, but Maya's heart was full. She had done more than achieve her dreams. She had inspired others to do the same. And in the end, that was the greatest reward of all. By now, Maya had earned a reputation as someone who could tackle even the toughest challenges. Her success with the flagship project had silenced many of her critics, but she knew there was still work to be done. The company's culture was slowly changing, thanks in part to her efforts, but old habits die hard. Some employees still clung to outdated ideas about who deserved recognition and who didn't. Maya wasn't naive enough to think she could change everyone's mindset overnight, but she was determined to keep pushing for progress. Her next big assignment came sooner than expected. Innovatech was launching a new initiative aimed at developing cutting-edge technology that would revolutionize how businesses operated globally. It was an ambitious goal, and the stakes were higher than ever. Richard Langston personally appointed Maya to lead the project, citing her innovative thinking and ability to inspire teamwork. When the news broke, reactions were mixed. While some celebrated her appointment, others grumbled behind closed doors. "She's only here because of her dad," one senior manager muttered during a meeting. Though he thought no one heard him, his words reached Maya later that day through a colleague who defended her. Maya chose not to confront the manager directly. Instead, she channeled her energy into proving herself once again. She gathered her team and laid out a clear vision for the project. "This isn't just about creating something new," she told them. "It's about showing the world what we're capable of. Let's make history." From the start, Maya made inclusivity a priority. She invited input from every department, ensuring that diverse perspectives shaped the project. When a young intern suggested an unconventional feature, Maya encouraged her to explore it further. That idea eventually became one of the product's standout innovations, a testament to Maya's belief in empowering others. The workload was intense, and long hours became the norm. But Maya never asked her team to do anything she wasn't willing to do herself. Late nights often found her sitting beside colleagues, debugging code or brainstorming solutions. Her presence alone motivated others to push harder. One developer later joked, "If Maya can stay awake until 2 a.m., so can I." As the project progressed, Maya faced another challenge: balancing leadership with humility. Being the boss meant making tough decisions, but it also meant admitting when she didn't have all the answers. During one particularly stressful phase, the team hit a roadblock that seemed impossible to overcome. Frustration mounted and tempers flared. Sensing the tension, Maya called an impromptu meeting. "I know we're stuck," she admitted, her voice calm but firm. "But let's remember why we started this. We're not giving up. Not now, not ever. Let's take a step back, regroup, and figure this out together." Her honesty diffused the frustration, and the team rallied around her. By morning, they had cracked the problem, thanks to a collaborative effort that brought fresh insights to the table. Moments like these strengthened their bond, turning coworkers into teammates and skeptics into believers. Despite her growing influence, Maya never lost sight of where she came from. Every Friday evening, she joined her father on his cleaning rounds, helping him tidy up offices and chatting about their week. These moments grounded her, reminding her of the values her father had instilled in her: hard work, kindness, and resilience. One night, while emptying trash bins in the CEO's office, Maya noticed a framed photo on his desk. It showed Richard, standing with his family, smiling broadly. For a moment, she wondered if he ever struggled with self-doubt or felt like an outsider. Did people underestimate him too? Or did privilege shield him from the kind of challenges she faced daily? Her thoughts drifted back to her own journey. From being rejected at an interview to leading one of the most important projects in the company's history, she had come a long way. But she knew her fight wasn't just for herself. It was for everyone who had ever been dismissed because of their background. Word of Maya's impact spread beyond Innovatech. Industry publications began highlighting her achievements, calling her a trailblazer and a role model. Invitations to speak at conferences poured in, but Maya turned down most of them. "I'm not here for fame," she told Richard when he urged her to accept an award. "I'm here to get the job done." Still, she couldn't ignore the ripple effect her story was having. Young developers looked up to her, seeing themselves in her journey. Custodial staff felt seen and valued, knowing that someone in power cared about their well-being. Even some of her former doubters softened their stance, acknowledging her contributions openly. One afternoon, as Maya walked through the office, she overheard two employees talking. "Did you hear? They're saying she might become CTO someday," one said excitedly. The other laughed. "Why not? She's already proven she can handle anything they throw at her." Maya smiled to herself but kept walking. Promotions weren't her focus right now. What mattered most was finishing the project and delivering something truly extraordinary. As the launch date approached, anticipation grew within the company. Test runs showed promising results, and early feedback from clients was overwhelmingly positive. The final presentation loomed large, and Maya spent countless hours rehearsing her pitch, determined to leave no room for error. On the day of the presentation, the conference room buzzed with excitement. Executives, investors, and media representatives filled the seats, eager to see what Innovatech had created. Maya stood at the front, heart pounding but mind clear. As she began speaking, her confidence shone through. She explained the product's features, its potential impact, and the collaborative effort that brought it to life. When she finished, the room erupted into applause. Richard stood up, clapping louder than anyone else. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "this is the future of innovation, and it's led by someone who proves that talent knows no boundaries." Backstage after the event, Maya allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. She thought about her father, whose sacrifices paved the way for her dreams. She thought about the late nights, the doubts, and the victories. Most of all, she thought about the message her journey sent to others. No matter where you start, you have the power to rise above obstacles and create change. But Maya also knew this wasn't the end. There would always be more challenges, more barriers to break, and she was ready for herself, for her family, and for everyone counting on her to keep pushing forward. Little did she know, her story was about to reach heights she'd never imagined. Taking on the role of lead engineer wasn't something Maya had ever imagined for herself, at least not this soon. She knew it came with challenges, but she also saw it as an opportunity to prove herself once and for all. The problem was, not everyone shared her optimism. Some colleagues still doubted her abilities, assuming she'd been handed the position out of pity or because of her father's connection to the company. Whispers followed her down hallways, and some team members avoided collaborating with her altogether. At first, Maya tried to ignore the negativity. She threw herself into her work, determined to show that she belonged. But no matter how hard she worked, the whispers persisted. One afternoon, while grabbing coffee in the break room, she overheard two developers talking about her. "She's just the janitor's daughter," one of them said, his voice low but loud enough for her to catch. How does someone like her end up leading a project this big? The comment stung, but Maya didn't let it show. Instead, she took a deep breath and reminded herself why she was here: to do good work and make a difference. Walking back to her desk, she resolved to focus on what mattered most: results. Her first major task as lead engineer was overseeing a new initiative aimed at improving the company's flagship product. It was a high-stakes project, and failure wasn't an option. Maya spent countless hours researching, brainstorming, and planning every detail. She knew the team would need to trust her if they were going to succeed, so she made it a point to involve everyone in the process. During their first meeting, Maya stood in front of the group, marker in hand, ready to dive into the project. "This is our chance to innovate," she began, her voice steady and confident. "We're not just fixing problems. We're creating solutions that will shape the future of this company." She broke the project into smaller tasks, assigning roles based on each person's strengths. When one developer raised concerns about the timeline, Maya listened carefully and adjusted the plan accordingly. Her approach was collaborative, ensuring everyone felt heard and valued. Slowly but surely, the team began to warm up to her leadership style. But proving herself wasn't just about managing projects. It was also about mentoring others. Early on, Maya noticed a junior developer struggling to keep up with the fast-paced environment. He seemed hesitant to ask questions, afraid of looking incompetent. One evening, after noticing him working late, she approached him. "You know," she said gently, "there's no shame in asking for help. I've been where you are, and trust me, it gets easier." The young man looked surprised but grateful. "I just don't want to slow anyone down," he admitted. Maya smiled. "You won't. We're a team, and we succeed together." Over the next few weeks, she spent extra time helping him navigate the complexities of the project. By the time they reached the halfway mark, he had gained confidence, contributing ideas that impressed even the skeptics. As the project progressed, Maya's dedication became undeniable. She stayed late nights, reviewed every line of code, and ran endless tests to ensure everything worked perfectly. Her attention to detail paid off. When the final prototype was unveiled, it exceeded everyone's expectations. Not only did it address existing issues, but it also introduced features that set Innovatech apart from its competitors. Word of the project's success spread quickly throughout the company. Employees who had once doubted Maya now praised her leadership and vision. Even the executives couldn't hide their admiration. During a board meeting, Richard Langston singled her out for recognition. "Ms. Johnson has proven herself time and again," he said, addressing the room. "Her ability to solve complex problems and unite a team is remarkable. Let this be a lesson to all of us. Talent isn't defined by titles or backgrounds." The applause that followed was overwhelming, but Maya remained humble. As she walked back to her desk, she couldn't help but think about how far she'd come. From being rejected at an interview to leading a groundbreaking project, her journey had been anything but easy. Yet, through perseverance and hard work, she had earned the respect she deserved. Despite her achievements, Maya refused to let success go to her head. She continued advocating for inclusivity within the company, pushing for policies that supported underrepresented employees. She organized workshops to teach coding skills to custodial staff, believing that talent could be found anywhere if given the chance. Her efforts inspired others to rethink their assumptions, fostering a more welcoming workplace culture. One day, while walking through the office, Maya spotted her father cleaning a hallway. His face lit up when he saw her, and he gave her a proud thumbs up. In that moment, she realized her victories weren't just personal. They represented hope for anyone who had ever been underestimated. As the months passed, Maya's influence grew. She became a mentor to younger engineers, sharing her knowledge and encouraging them to pursue their dreams. Her story served as a reminder that greatness can come from unexpected places, and that true leadership is about lifting others up along the way. Little did she know her journey was far from over. While she had proven herself to the company, there were still bigger challenges ahead, ones that would test her resilience and redefine what it meant to lead. But for now, Maya allowed herself a moment of quiet satisfaction. She had faced doubt, overcome obstacles, and emerged stronger than ever. And though the road ahead might be uncertain, she was ready to take on whatever came next, with courage, determination, and unwavering faith in herself. The day of the meeting arrived, and Maya felt a mix of excitement and nerves bubbling inside her. She had spent hours preparing, reviewing her notes, practicing how to explain her solution clearly, and reminding herself to stay calm no matter what happened. But as she walked into the conference room, she couldn't help but feel like an outsider again. The same executives who had rejected her during the interview were now sitting across from her, their faces unreadable. Richard Langston, the CEO, greeted her with a polite nod. "Ms. Johnson," he said, his voice steady, "we're here because your proposal caught our attention. Let's hear it." Maya took a deep breath and began explaining her findings. She started by breaking down the problem in simple terms, making sure everyone understood why it was such a big deal for the company. Then she moved on to her solution step by step. Using diagrams and examples, she showed them exactly how her approach worked. Her voice grew stronger as she spoke, her confidence building with each nod of approval from the team. One of the executives raised his hand halfway through her presentation. "This is impressive," he admitted, "but are you sure this can scale? Our systems handle millions of transactions daily. A small flaw could bring everything crashing down." Maya smiled faintly, expecting this question. She had already thought about scalability when designing her solution. Pulling up another slide, she explained how her code not only fixed the bug but also improved efficiency, allowing the system to handle even more traffic without slowing down. "I ran simulations based on your current workload," she added. "It holds up under stress." The room fell silent as they processed her words. For a moment, Maya wondered if she had said too much or come off as arrogant. But then Richard leaned forward, his expression thoughtful. "You've clearly put a lot of effort into this," he said. "But there's one thing I need to ask. Why did you do it? You weren't hired. No one asked you to solve this." Maya hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "Because I saw a problem that needed solving," she replied honestly. "And because I believe in doing what's right, whether it benefits me or not. My father has worked hard for this company for years, and I know how important Innovatech is, not just to him, but to everyone here. I wanted to help." Her answer seemed to resonate with the group. Even those who had doubted her earlier looked at her with newfound respect. Still, not everyone was convinced. One executive whispered, loudly enough for everyone to hear, "She's just the janitor's daughter." The comment hung in the air, heavy and sharp. Maya felt her cheeks burn, but she refused to look away. She had faced worse remarks before, and she wasn't going to let this one break her. Before she could respond, Richard cut in sharply. "That's enough," he said, his tone leaving no room for argument. Looking directly at Maya, he continued, "Prove to us this works. If it does, we'll take it seriously." With that, the meeting ended, and Maya was given temporary access to the company's systems to implement her solution. Over the next few days, she worked tirelessly, running tests and tweaking her code until it was flawless. Each night, she stayed late, double-checking every detail to ensure nothing would go wrong. Her father stopped by occasionally to check on her, bringing snacks and offering words of encouragement. "You're doing great," he told her one evening as she typed furiously on her laptop. "Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." By the end of the week, Maya was ready to present the results. When she walked into the conference room, the atmosphere was tense. Everyone was waiting to see if her solution lived up to its promise. As she projected her findings onto the screen, showing graphs and data proving her success, the tension slowly melted away. The bug was gone, and the system was running smoother than ever. The room erupted into murmurs of disbelief and admiration. One of the executives shook his head in amazement. "I never thought we'd solve this so quickly or at all," he admitted. Richard stood up, clapping slowly. "Well done, Ms. Johnson," he said, his tone warm and genuine. "You've earned our trust." Despite her achievement, Maya knew the battle wasn't over. Some people still doubted her abilities. whispering behind her back and questioning whether she truly deserved credit. But instead of letting their negativity get to her, she focused on proving herself through action. Every task she completed, every challenge she overcame, strengthened her resolve. Her new role as lead engineer came with its own set of challenges. Many of her colleagues struggled to accept her authority, assuming she had been handed the position out of pity rather than merit. During team meetings, some dismissed her ideas without giving them proper consideration. Others avoided collaborating with her altogether, treating her like an outsider. But Maya didn't let it discourage her. Instead, she poured her energy into mentoring younger developers and fostering a culture of inclusivity within her team. She encouraged everyone to share their thoughts, regardless of their background or experience level. Slowly but surely, her efforts began to pay off. Her team started opening up, trusting her judgment and valuing her input. One day, while working on a particularly tricky project, Maya noticed a junior developer struggling to debug a piece of code. He looked frustrated, close to giving up. Without hesitation, she pulled up a chair beside him and offered to help. Together they went line by line, identifying errors and brainstorming solutions. By the time they finished, the young man was beaming with pride. "Thanks," he said shyly. "I don't think I could have done it without you." Maya smiled warmly. "We all start somewhere," she replied. "Don't hesitate to ask for help when you need it." Word of her kindness spread quickly, earning her the respect of her peers. Even those who had initially doubted her began to see her in a new light. They realized she wasn't just brilliant, she was also patient, kind, and genuinely invested in helping others succeed. As weeks turned into months, Maya's leadership style transformed the way her team operated. Under her guidance, they tackled projects with renewed enthusiasm, delivering results that exceeded expectations. Clients praised the improvements, and stock prices soared. Yet despite her growing influence, Maya remained humble, always crediting her team for their hard work. She also made sure to advocate for fair treatment of custodial staff, including her father. She pushed for better wages and benefits, arguing that these employees played a crucial role in keeping the company running smoothly. Thanks to her persistence, several changes were implemented, improving the lives of many workers. Through it all, Maya never forgot where she came from. She carried her father's lessons with her every step of the way, reminding herself that success wasn't just about personal achievement, it was about lifting others up along the journey. And though she faced obstacles and doubters, she proved, time and again, that talent and determination could overcome any barrier. Little did she know, her story was far from over. In fact, it was only beginning. The email Maya sent to the CEO was short, clear, and to the point. She didn't want to waste anyone's time with flowery language or unnecessary details. After introducing herself briefly as someone who had recently interviewed for a position at the company, she explained that she had stumbled upon a critical issue in their system. Without revealing how she found it, she wasn't sure if mentioning the crumpled paper would make her sound sneaky. She outlined the problem step by step. Then, she attached her proposed solution, complete with diagrams and code snippets. She ended the email with a simple sentence, "I believe this will solve your issue." And just like that, she hit send. Her heart pounded as she stared at the screen, half expecting an error message or some sign that she'd made a mistake. But there was nothing. The email was gone, sent into the digital void. For a moment, she felt a wave of doubt wash over her. What if they ignored her? Worse, what if they thought she was lying or trying to trick them? But deep down, Maya knew she had done the right thing. She couldn't let such a big problem go unsolved, not when she had the skills to fix it. Still, the waiting game was torture. Days passed, and she heard nothing. Each morning she checked her inbox obsessively, hoping for a reply. But the silence was deafening. Meanwhile, life went on as usual. She helped her father clean offices at night, keeping busy during the day by working on small coding projects to keep her mind sharp. Occasionally, she'd catch herself replaying the interview in her head, wondering if she could have said something differently. Had she been too nervous, too eager? Or was it simply because of who she was, the daughter of a janitor, that they dismissed her so quickly. Then, one evening, as she sat at the kitchen table sipping tea, her phone buzzed. It was an email notification. Her stomach flipped as she opened it. The subject line read, "Request for meeting." Her hands trembled as she scrolled through the message. It was from none other than Richard Langston, the CEO of Innovatech Solutions. He wanted to meet with her the very next afternoon to discuss her findings further. Maya read the email twice, 3 times, just to make sure she wasn't imagining things. When it finally sank in, she let out a shaky laugh. She couldn't believe it. The same man who had rejected her weeks earlier now wanted to sit down and talk to her about solving a problem no one else could crack. Her father walked into the room then, carrying a stack of cleaning supplies. "What's got you smiling like that?" he asked, setting the items down. I think I might get another chance," Maya stammered, showing him the email. His eyes widened as he read it, and then his face broke into a proud grin. "Well, I'll be," he said, shaking his head in disbelief. "Looks like my girl's not giving up without a fight." The next day, Maya dressed carefully for the meeting. This time she chose an outfit that made her feel confident but not overly flashy. A crisp white shirt paired with tailored black pants. As she stood in front of the mirror, tying her hair back neatly, she reminded herself why she was doing this. It wasn't just about proving herself to the executives. It was about showing them, and herself, that talent comes in all forms, regardless of background or circumstances. When she arrived at Innovatech, the receptionist greeted her warmly and escorted her to a conference room. Unlike her previous visit, the atmosphere felt different. There was no sense of judgment or skepticism in the air. Instead, there was curiosity. A few minutes later, Richard Langston walked in, followed by 2 members of his senior team. They exchanged polite greetings before taking their seats. Richard wasted no time getting to the point. "Ms. Johnson," he began, leaning forward slightly, "your email caught our attention. We've reviewed your solution, and frankly, it's impressive. But we need to understand how you arrived at it." Maya took a deep breath and launched into her explanation. She started by describing the problem in simple terms, making sure everyone understood its complexity. Then, she walked them through her approach, explaining each step of her process clearly and concisely. She used visual aids to illustrate her points, pointing out areas where others might have overlooked key details. As she spoke, she noticed subtle changes in the room. At first, the executives seemed skeptical, their arms crossed and brows furrowed. But as she continued, their expressions softened. By the time she finished, they were nodding along, jotting notes and exchanging glances. Richard leaned back in his chair, studying her carefully. "You're telling me you solved this overnight?" he asked, his tone incredulous. "No," Maya replied firmly, meeting his gaze. "I've been working on it since I saw your notes. I knew I couldn't let something like this go unsolved." Her honesty struck a chord with the room. For the first time, they saw beyond her resume and recognized her brilliance. But old biases lingered. One executive whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear, "She's just the janitor's daughter." The room fell silent. Maya felt her cheeks burn, but she refused to look away. She had faced worse comments in her life, and she wasn't going to let this one break her. Before she could respond, Richard silenced the man with a sharp glare. "Maybe being the janitor's daughter is exactly what we needed," Richard said pointedly, his voice cutting through the tension. Turning back to Maya, he added, "Prove to us this works." That was all the motivation Maya needed. Over the next few days, she was granted temporary access to Innovatech systems under strict supervision. Working late into the night, she implemented her solution and ran extensive tests. Every line of code she wrote was precise. Every simulation she conducted thorough. She knew this was her moment to shine, and she wasn't going to squander it. To everyone's astonishment, the bug disappeared entirely. Not only did her fix resolve the immediate crisis, but it also streamlined the system, making it faster and more efficient than ever before. Word spread quickly throughout the company. Employees marveled at the quiet genius who had saved them all. Meanwhile, Maya remained humble, attributing her success to perseverance and her love for problem-solving. Despite her achievements, some within the company still doubted whether she belonged. Whispers followed her down hallways, questioning if she truly deserved credit. But Maya refused to let negativity deter her. She focused on proving her worth through action rather than words. Richard, impressed by her resilience, offered her a permanent role, not as an intern or junior developer, but as a lead engineer on a new project aimed at revolutionizing their technology. It was a bold move, one that challenged the status quo and forced others to confront their prejudices. For Maya, it was more than just a job offer, it was validation. All those years of hard work, all the sacrifices her family had made had led her to this moment. As she accepted the position, she couldn't help but think about her father, who had always believed in her even when the world didn't. And though she knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, she was ready. Ready to rise above doubt, ready to break barriers, and most importantly, ready to show the world that greatness can come from anywhere, even from the daughter of a janitor. In the heart of a busy city, where skyscrapers touched the clouds and dreams were born and broken every day, there lived a young woman who carried big dreams in her heart. Her name wasn't one you'd find on billboards or magazine covers, but it mattered more than most people realized. She was Maya Johnson, the daughter of James, a hard-working janitor at Innovatech Solutions, one of the biggest tech companies in town. Maya grew up watching her father work tirelessly, cleaning offices, late into the night to make ends meet. Despite their humble circumstances, she never felt poor because her father filled their home with love, wisdom, and encouragement. He always told her, "You can be anything you want, as long as you work for it." Those words stuck with her like glue, guiding her through life's toughest moments. From a young age, Maya showed an unusual curiosity about how things worked. While other kids played outside, she would sit by the window, dismantling old radios and toys to figure out what made them tick. By the time she reached high school, her teachers noticed something special about her. She had a knack for solving problems. Whether it was fixing a broken computer in the library or helping classmates understand tricky math concepts, her talent didn't go unnoticed. With scholarships paving the way, Maya went on to study computer science at a local university. College wasn't easy. She juggled part-time jobs, took care of her family, and studied late into the night. But nothing could dampen her spirit. When graduation day finally came, she stood proudly among her peers, holding a degree that proved all her struggles were worth it. Now, armed with knowledge and determination, Maya set her sights on Innovatech Solutions, the very company where her father spent years mopping floors and emptying trash bins. It wasn't just any company. It was a place known for cutting-edge technology and innovation. Landing a job there felt like the perfect next step in her journey. She spent weeks preparing for the interview. She polished her resume until it sparkled, practiced answering common questions, and even bought a new outfit to look professional. On the morning of the interview, she woke up early, tied her hair neatly, and walked into the towering glass building with her head held high. But as soon as she stepped into the interview room, reality hit her like a cold breeze. Sitting across from her were three executives dressed in expensive suits, their faces unreadable. They asked tough questions, some of which caught her off guard. Though she tried her best to stay calm and confident, she couldn't shake the feeling that she didn't belong there. When the interview ended, they thanked her politely and shook her hand, but their expressions said it all. A few days later, the rejection email arrived. "We regret to inform you," the message began, and though Maya read the rest, the words blurred together. She felt crushed, not just because she didn't get the job, but because she wondered if they saw her differently, not as a skilled graduate, but as the janitor's daughter. That evening, Maya joined her father at work. It wasn't unusual for her to tag along sometimes, especially when he needed help carrying supplies or moving heavy equipment. As they cleaned the CEO's office, something caught her eye, a crumpled piece of paper lying near the trash bin. Curious, she picked it up and smoothed it out. What she saw made her heart race. The page was covered in complex algorithms, flowcharts, and scribbled notes. At first glance, it looked like gibberish, But as she studied it closer, she realized it outlined a major problem the company was facing. There was a bug in their flagship product, a glitch so serious that it threatened to cost them millions of dollars if left unresolved. Maya's mind started racing. She knew this kind. They often gave such problems to senior engineers, people with years of experience. But here she was, someone who had been rejected for an entry-level position, holding the key to one of the company's biggest headaches. For a moment, she hesitated. Should she say something? Would anyone even listen to her? After all, she was just the janitor's daughter, someone who hadn't even gotten past the first round of interviews. But then she thought about her father, how he worked so hard to give her opportunities, and about all those nights she spent studying, dreaming of making a difference. I can do this, she whispered to herself. With newfound resolve, Maya tucked the paper into her bag and decided to take matters into her own hands. Over the next few days, she pored over the algorithm during her free time, using her laptop to recreate parts of the code and test possible solutions. It wasn't easy. Without access to the company's proprietary software, she had to rely on her instincts and creativity. Late-night coffee became her best friend as she worked tirelessly, determined to crack the code. Weeks passed, and slowly but surely, pieces of the puzzle started falling into place. Maya discovered patterns others might have missed, finding clever ways to optimize the system. Each small breakthrough fueled her confidence, pushing her closer to the solution. One night, as she stared at her screen, exhausted but exhilarated, she realized she had done it. She had solved the problem, but now came the hardest part, convincing Innovatech that she, a rejected applicant, held the answer to their crisis. Taking a deep breath, Maya drafted an anonymous email to the CEO. She attached her findings, explaining the issue and how she fixed it. She also briefly mentioned her background, hoping it would add weight to her claim. Hitting send felt like jumping off a cliff, but she reminded herself why she was doing this, not for recognition, but to prove that talent and hard work should always matter more than titles or connections. As she closed her laptop and leaned back in her chair, Maya allowed herself a small smile. No matter what happened next, she knew she had given it her all. And sometimes that was enough. Little did she know, her email would change everything, for herself, for her father, and for the entire company.